are a force to be reckoned with.
What is MK Ultra? I mean, viewers watching today, they're like, I've never heard of MK Ultra. I've heard of human trafficking, but what exactly is MK Ultra? And then go ahead and get into your personal journey about it.
Absolutely. So, yes, I think people, when they hear that, or, people that even have heard that, it can cause anxiety or fear of the unknown. And the Lord
Mm-hmm.
showed me that, when you don't know about something, it can cause anxiety. And so,
Mm-hmm.
my main goal and calling is really to educate and train. And I know when Sula was on here, she talked about um, how important it is to understand the trauma and what things are. It kind of dispels some of the fear. So, MK Ultra is actually government sponsored mind control. So, we all know, we've read Revelation. We know that there is a new world order. There's people that have an agenda, a satanic agenda against this country, against Christians. Um, and really, bottom line, at the very depth of it, that is what it is. It's the Antichrist agenda. It wants to take down the church, take down anything that's pure and holy. And, if you do just a Google search on MK Ultra, it's been proven. I mean, it's not just something that it's made up. It's been proven. It's been documented. Um, there's been thousands and thousands of people that have had the same stories of what they endured, but they're in different parts of the country or the world, but they're saying the same thing. And so when do you get to a point to where you're saying, so could all of these people be making this up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how could they know the same things and never spoke before? But it was, documented and a real thing. The unfortunate thing is they said that it ended in the 70s, and it actually did not end. There's an agenda against this country, and specifically against the children, um,
Mm-hmm.
because people that are Satanists, they hate God. Um, these people, they know who God is. They know sometimes scripture more than Christians do, actually. But they choose evil. And, it talks about in the Bible, it talks about there will be those that he gives over, that they are continually thinking up new evil to do.
Mm-hmm.
It also says that Satan comes as an angel of light, even more so his followers. That's in Second Corinthians. So the reality is, even in the Bible, throughout the Bible, the Lord was warning and letting people know there are these wolves in sheep's clothing, that appear good but are not good. And that's how they get away with what they do, is because they look good. They specifically target places that um, children are, whether it's a school or church, um, that they try to blend in. But the reality, even before this country, in Nazi Germany, they were doing a lot of testing, and this is true. We have many, many people from the Holocaust that have testified to the torture and the evil that they did there. But what they found is that doing that and being doing that kind of programming and torture and evil out in the open, they weren't accomplishing what they wanted to accomplish. So they determined, it's called the Illuminati, deep state, you know, however you want to say it really Satanists. And
Mm-hmm.
they truly, uh, you know, they want to infiltrate this country and take this country down because it is a Christian nation. And we've seen that in all areas, really. If you look at the food, it's now coming out of all the different things that they put in our food to make us sick.
Yeah.
If you
Yes.
look at now, it used to be 10 years ago, they would have thought you're crazy if they said that they were doing things in the sky, that putting chemicals in the sky. Well,
Yeah, the
that's
chemtrails. Yeah.
proven. Um,
Hmm.
so it really is an agenda. MK Ultra is an agenda to train children from infancy, and that's what happened with me, to be trained to think a certain way, do certain things by really doing a lot of torment and torture and rape and trafficking to control and manipulate a person to be whatever they want them to be, to accomplish whatever they want them to accomplish. Um, and it's very, very evil and very, very dark. I talk a lot about the specifics in my book, To Tell the Truth. Um, and the only reason I put in there specifically, I had a lot of people even close to me that were like, "Are you sure that you want to do that?" But the Lord said, "Hope, this is like a seat belt for the church." You have
Hmm.
to have the belt of truth. Like the belt of truth,
Yes.
it holds up the rest of the part of the armor. It's important to have the truth. And how are people going to fight? And how are people going to be able to navigate it if they don't know the truth? So even through a lot of rejection, I put all of that information in there because other people have read it and ended up getting free from it. And there's lots and lots of people that had no idea that this is going on. So not only did it affect me, and it's affecting thousands of people that have been through what I've been through, it's actually affecting you and your family, whether you realize it or not. Um, so, like I said, I was born into it. The people that were my main traffickers and programmers, they looked like a normal, everyday family. Like they looked like a normal middle class family, Christian family. But unfortunately, behind the scenes, they were uh, programming me through torture and rape and trafficking. And they do that specifically to divide and break the mind, because anybody that goes through trauma, there's some form of dissociation, because your
Hmm.
mind, Jesus, he put that for us so that we would be able to endure, and it's supposed to be a gift to be able to dissociate so that we can get through those horrible things, because some horrible things happen on this earth. And unfortunately, for those that go through MK Ultra, they are targeted and hurt and abused specifically to break the mind and fragment the mind, so they can get them to do, they can get them to do whatever they want them to do. Um,
So you were said you were born into MK Ultra. So did your biological parents tell us a little bit about that if you feel comfortable? Did they
yes.
give you away? Did they raise you in this?
Now, the people that took me, they weren't my biological parents. Um, Unfortunately, there's a lot of infiltration in our government, in hospitals and things like that. So they're able to take infants and really give them whatever kind of birth certificate they want them to have. So they really took ownership of me, even though they weren't my biological parents. Um, and that's a whole nother thing. My the lady that carried me, in satanic rituals, like you said, they do human sacrifice. And I just did a video just recently. A lot of people were really wanting to know more about the origins of Halloween. And the reality is, a lot of infants and children are sacrificed during that time. I saw it firsthand. And, I think a lot in the Western world, we don't realize that there's a persecution of the church, because these people hate God and they hate Jesus. So what better way to hurt God and hurt Jesus is by hurting his children. And so little kids, infants, we know abortion is hideous. This is people intentionally killing infants and children and sacrificing them to Satan to get more power, demonic power. So that goes on. It's true. I know you've talked with Pastor Dave and Cheryl about, Halloween and all of that, but it is true that that's the case, that they do that. So there's really a tragedy and a genocide going on in our country, but people just aren't aware of it.
So people give away their kids that are in SRA, and they sacrifice them in, giving them away for either MK Ultra or, handing them off to Satan, sacrificing them to Satan for more power and all that. And that's a real eye opener too. And we talked a little bit with the Bryans about that, because they've told the story of Deborah Joy.
Right.
She was totally sacrificed, or she was sacrificed and committed to Satan, and
Exactly.
they were a big part of her healing and deliverance ministry, getting her away from Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, because it was his daughter. And so this stuff is real. It's very real. People, and I remember even having dreams of those who've been trafficked. And those who've been trafficked, if they get pregnant, they have children. And a lot of times their children are either taken away from them, sacrificed, and all that, because there are children born into human trafficking, and that's all they know. And I've seen it in dreams. It's a real thing.